Hello there and welcome back, my friends. Welcome back to another video. In this video we are once again having a look at the Fluval Flex 123 Marine Edition. I've already done an unboxing and a setup guide to this tank, so if you haven't seen those, make sure you check them out. I've had this tank running for probably just over a month now. If you're not familiar with this particular aquarium, it is a saltwater version of the 123 Flex by Fluval. The big sort of differentiator between this tank and many other tanks is the fact that it has a bow front glass. However, it's not a bow front from left to right, it's a bow front from top to bottom, which makes it very unique. There are no other tanks, as far as I'm aware, like this one. Another couple of features that this tank has is a lid that lifts off, so not too unique, but underneath we have the Fluval Marine 3.0 Bluetooth edition LED light. So this is specifically tailored for growth of marine corals and other marine organisms. In the back we have a filtration system which is accessible via this removable flap, and below there we have two sets of sponges. These are the same sponges as in the smaller model of Fluval Flexes, but they're also the same sponge sets that you get in the Fluval Evo. So this is the specific sponge that Fluval are trying to use in most of their aquariums now, and in this tank you get two. You've also got space for your skimmer, which in this case is a Fluval C skimmer, and your heater in the back left corner if you're using a skimmer. Inside of here is the return pump. And to cap it off nicely, we've got a nice big gap there where all of your cabling can escape the tank without causing too much disruption to the rest of the display. Staying with the lid, we also have a feeding flap. This can be used just like this, or you can remove the flap itself and fit a Fluval auto feeder into that particular area. The filtration is hidden completely at the back there by this black plastic skirting, and on both sides we have a weir at the top and a little weir at the bottom, and this is to allow water to flow completely into the filtration system on both sides, and that's all returned by these two big duckbill outlets. The duckbill outflows there are both manoeuvrable, so they're on ball joints, and that means that you can direct them pretty much 360 degrees around the tank, so you can kind of tailor the flow of this tank to your requirements. Obviously you can't have them both pointing in the same direction, but you get the idea. In terms of scums and oils appearing on the surface of the water, that hasn't really happened. There's a little bit of an oil slick every now and then when I feed, but because of the weir system at the back there, it sucks from the top of the water as well as the bottom, so most of the scums and oils get sucked into the back. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but the majority does get removed from the tank. You can see there's a little bit of dust on the surface, but nothing too bad. So a lot of flow goes around this aquarium. I found it actually has perfectly enough flow. I haven't felt the need to even add a power head to this tank. You may want to add a power head for some extra flow, but as standard I feel that it's perfectly fine. Another feature that you have along the waterline is this honeycomb design that's also on the back. This features on all of the Flex tanks actually, and it's just there to hide the waterline a little bit. It makes it blur, and any deposits will actually be a little bit hidden, makes things a little bit cleaner, and just gives the tank an overall better look. Another useful thing about this honeycomb design is it helps you judge how much evaporation you've had from the tank, because you can kind of see where you topped it up, and it gives you a nice area as to judge how much water's left the tank. On evaporation, I have found that this tank does not really evaporate very much, or it probably does evaporate, however this lid is very good at holding the evaporation in. I've had to top this tank up once since setting it up in a month, and that wasn't even particularly necessary. I just thought I would do it, and even then it was only 10 litres, so very good on evaporation, and this of course means it's very stable in terms of salinity. Moving on to the lighting itself, well, the Fluval Marine Bluetooth 3.0 is a very good light. There's tons and tons of videos describing this particular light, including one I've done myself, and I can tell you that it is perfectly good for growing most corals. If you want to grow something like SPS corals in here, which you'd be perfectly fine to do, you might want to add a second one of these lights, and you can do so because the aquarium actually comes with a bracket which allows you to fit another one of these lights in there. The Fluval Marine 3.0 Bluetooth light is all controlled by a Bluetooth app on your phone, so you can set up when the light turns on and off, and also the spectrum of the light via the Bluetooth app. Very, very good light, and absolutely no qualms in using it as the standard light for this tank. One of the only real problems I got with this tank is the fact that it's so unbelievably hard to squeegee the front of this glass. Because of the way it's curved, you have to do it top to bottom, whereas ideally you'd want to squeegee something left to right so that no streaks remain. Fortunately, this can't be done on this tank because of the nature of squeegees being flat, so you have to do it top to bottom, and you get lots of runny lines. I would implore Fluval or somebody to make a curved squeegee designed specifically for Fluval Flexes, but that is all my problems with this tank. So like I said, this tank's been going for about a month now. I've had no problems with algae blooms, and I've had no problems with any nuisance algae appearing in the tank. Now, despite the fact that I have added live rock from my main system, you'd have thought possibly you might get a bit of a green hair algae bloom initially, and that just hasn't happened. And I'm putting that down to the fact that the lighting is perfect, doesn't promote that nuisance algae, but because the tank is so stable as well, you don't get those fluctuations that can sometimes promote nuisance algae growth. You can see here the stocking level is reasonable. Now I'm using mollies in this case because at the moment the shops are closed, I can't get any marine fish, so I'm just transferring my marine mollies over to it to get the tank alive and to get the cycle going and the tank mature, and they're loving it in there, absolutely doing fantastically. Another thing I've added to this tank are lots of macroalgae. Luckily I'm in a position to have as much macroalgae as I like, so I've just planted it out a little bit. I will be adding corals to this tank, but again, because the shops are closed, I just can't get hold of any corals at reasonable prices at the moment. And you can see there we've got nice growth of these macros on there as well, so they've been in there a good couple of weeks, and there's nice new buds appearing on the macroalgae all round, so we can see here that they are happy. And in some ways macros can be a little bit more finicky than some of the soft corals, so the fact that they're growing suggests that everything in this tank is going really well. So I'd say this tank is actually one of my favourites now in my fish room. I'm really enjoying this particular aquarium. It's a bit different to everything else in my shed. I'm really happy to get hold of one. Now, because of the situation at the moment, they are a little bit hard to get hold of. They were supposed to be distributed in April and be available in the shops, but that hasn't happened as quickly as they would have liked. I have been in contact with one of the reps because you guys have been asking me where can we get these tanks, and it's been really hard to track them down, especially in the UK. But don't worry, they will be available soon, and they're well worth your time if you want one of these, especially if you want something very unique and very different to other marine tanks on the market right now. I'm really pleased with how this tank's going. I will be adding some corals and other bits and pieces when they become available, and I'll do a continuation of this theme, so more videos on this tank. If you're wondering where this live rock's from, it's TMC Ecorock. Now, what's amazing about TMC Ecorock is it looks so realistic. You'd be surprised to say that this was all mature live rock, but it's not. The only piece in here that's mature live rock is this piece in the middle. That small chunk there is out of my systems. It looks identical to this Ecorock, and that's the beauty of this Ecorock, is the fact that you can put it in your tank and automatically it looks like you've got a mature live rock system, and it looks fantastic. So if you're interested in the cabinet this aquarium is on, this is the cabinet designed specifically for the Flex 123. The marine version only comes in black. However, if you buy the freshwater version, you get a white cabinet with brown doors, which is quite nice. If you don't really like black, or if you wanted this tank on a brighter cabinet, that's available. It's the Fluval Premium cabinet, I believe it's called. It is fairly pricey, however it does marry up with the tank nicely. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be doing more in the future on the Fluval Flex 123 Marine, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you leave a like below as well, because it really helps my video get discovered on YouTube. So once again, thank you for watching and happy fish keeping.